What's up, guys? Haven't done a podcast in a while. New digs, it's kept me busy, but I'm going to do one today, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my open attempts. I've done 2 attempts at 21.1, so let's see what it's like. Okay, so here I am lying on the floor, 10-second countdown. I've turned off the sound because you don't want to hear like double music or double skipping or whatever the fuck it is. Okay, so yeah, I've started, and already you can see a huge difference in my first rep. So in the light blue on the left is my first attempt, and in the green is my second attempt. Basically there was a massive difference between both attempts. My first attempt I got 250 reps, wasn't really great, and I was fucking dying. Second attempt I was dying as well, didn't feel as bad though, but I think it was 386 reps, so a massive improvement, over 100 reps better. I know some of those reps, like not all those reps are equal because you got double unders. Look at me there on the left, I'm getting fucking no reps by my judge, and I'm like, what's going on? It's because I didn't pay attention to the rules. And yeah, that was Katie, my judge, explaining what I did wrong in that rep. But basically I was just like, huh? Okay, so I'm miles ahead already. I know the no rep has got something to do with that, but it's because my technique in the wall walks was shite as well. So wall walks, really hard movement for me, not good at them at all. And this first attempt, my first attempt was on Friday, and I just found the wall walk so hard I was absolutely fucked. You can even see me struggling from like the very first reps and sets. Double unders aren't a problem for me, like, but it's funny when Dave Castro was making the open announcement, he's just like, okay, first movement, everybody loves to hate it. And I was just like, oh, it's definitely thrusters or burpees. And he's like, double unders. And I'm like, don't fucking hate double unders at all. I love double unders. Give them to me. And then when he was introducing the second movement, he was like, and it's my absolute pleasure and delight to introduce for the first time a brand new movement, never been done before in the open. And I was like, oh, it's definitely going to be a devil's press. Definitely going to be a devil's press. And he's like, wall walks. And I'm like, oh, shit. It's actually really smart programming on his behalf if he is solely the man responsible for it, because wall walks look simple, but they're actually very fucking hard. Oh my god, look how wide my feet go on the wall walk. Yeah, they're actually very hard, but also very accessible for everyone. And this workout looks a lot easier than it actually is, and you can say that about a lot of workouts, but this really does look a lot easier than it actually was. Okay, so now there's a huge gap between my first and second attempts. So I am the type of person that needs to practice everything. I don't take like I can get the basics of something right fairly quickly when it comes to like, you know, exercise and movement and stuff like that, but I need to practice to master movement, and wall walks are something I don't practice. I could demo a wall walk for the class, no problem, but wouldn't be efficient in them, wouldn't be used to doing them at all, and you can definitely see that in my first attempt. I'm just really struggling. My first attempt gets so fucking bad that I'm actually taking 10 steps back to the wall at one point, which is just terrible, but you start it, you're in it, you gotta keep going. And you kind of basically, you learn from your mistakes. And after my first attempt, I spent all weekend, well not all weekend, I spent a few attempts on Saturday and a few attempts on Sunday working on my wall walk technique. So with the wall walk technique, the best thing to do was, and you'll see it here from my video, is 4 steps back, 3 steps forward. And I almost stick to that the whole time for the entire thing. It is kind of hard to do, but you do get used to it, and you just kind of have to force it to happen. As well as that, in my second attempt, what I was practicing to doing was turning my hands out when I reached the wall. So my fingers are facing forward when I'm walking backwards, and then, or when I start the wall walk, and then as I walk backwards, I turn my hand out, and I'm like literally making sure like my baby finger is on the line, and like baby finger, maybe part of my knuckle is on the line. Sometimes like it's like 2 fingers back on the line, and I'm like, oh, I don't need to go back that far. And sometimes it's like 1 finger on the line. But basically, yeah, that's what I was doing to get the wall walk better, I guess. Another thing I was practicing as well was, aside from the 4 steps back, was basically like touching the line and going straight back down again. So like in my first attempt, you can see it there, I'm like holding position for a second, especially when I was fresh. I was like holding position at the start, and that is just extremely fatiguing. Whereas on the right, you see me walk back, touch the line, and as soon as I touch that line, I'm taking my steps forward again. Yeah, and there's a huge difference. It's amazing what a bit of practice can do. Like CrossFit is all about, like, well, not all about, but a big part of CrossFit is about being efficient. Ooh, first trip on the double unders. But being efficient in your movement and practicing that, like, is so important. Regarding the double unders as well, I was listening to Jamie Heaton and Sam Stewart's podcast today, and they made a great point, and it's been said loads of times, is like, you know, when you're doing double unders, you got to practice outside a workout. It's never really good to practice something in a WOD and expect it to click. I mean, things do click for you in a WOD, and usually when something clicks in a workout, it's just kind of like a small little shortcut or something that's going to make that movement feel better. But most of the practice for skill work like double unders has to be done outside of workouts. And when people come in and they're just like, oh, I can't do double unders, and it's like, how much time have you spent doing or practicing double unders? The answer is almost always 0. And then it's like the penny drops for some magical reason. It's just like, why are you fucking surprised that you can't do double unders and you never practice it? When I was practicing double, I couldn't skip at all when I first started CrossFit. Couldn't skip at all. So what I did was, I just, before every class, I just basically tried to do 20 double unders, and not in a row, just accumulate 20 double unders. And at the start, it was taking me like 5 minutes, and then for a finish, it was taking me 20 seconds. But it took a couple of months, and like, you get there once you, like, you get, these things come to everyone once they just put in a little bit of practice. Boom. So you can see me on my knees now on my first attempt. I'm fucking absolutely dying. And it's so funny because towards the end, I'm absolutely heaving. I'm doing my wall walks and I'm like, fucking dying. Every step back is a huge effort. And you can really see me struggling to just like get my hands back to the line. And then in this workout, there's like the double unders are, if you're good at double unders, they're like a break, but there is no recovery on the double unders at the same time. Whatever shoulder fatigue you've accumulated doing the wall walks, it just stays there and gets like a little bit worse. So like, you just feel your shoulders kind of burning, and you just got to hold on to the rope, because it almost gets worse when you stop for a few seconds after you stop, so you're better off to keep going. Okay, so on the left, I'm taking like a break in my double unders, whereas that same set on the right, the only reason I took a break, I think it's because I tripped once. And I think that's the set of 9 I'm on, or 9 wall walks and 90 reps on the left, whereas on the right now, I'm on the 15s, so I'm miles ahead. Yeah. I was surprised at kind of how heavy I was breathing, because I knew this was going to be a fatiguing workout on the shoulders, but you do start to breathe quite hard too as well, and it's just very hard to get those muscles to recover. Like, so I'm doing the same as every athlete is doing, and that's kind of reaching arms forward, and I'm trying not to do that for too long. I'm trying to do it for like a couple of breaths and then back into my wall walk again. And it's just basically letting the lactic acid kind of, I don't know, pour out of the muscles or into the muscles or whatever. It's so much easier to kind of like watch these movements being done and like kind of look at them and be like, yeah, that's not too bad. But then when you're doing it, it's a whole different ball game. It's like, oh fuck. Okay, so on the left I'm taking really long breaks in between each rep, and it's because each rep is taking me so fucking long that my rest is becoming much longer as well. Whereas on the right I'm trying to stay super consistent. I'm like coming down and I'm taking like 2 breaths. I'm consciously lifting my arse high up into the air when I'm kneeling up, and then reaching up as far as I can with my feet. Whereas on the right, or on the left, sorry, my first attempt in blue, I'm like still almost doing like the full press up for a lot of it. Not as being as efficient as I can. And that's adding to the fatigue of my shoulders, doing a little shoulder jiggle there on the floor. And I'm trying to get on with it at the same time. So now I'm on 150 double unders in green, and then in blue I'm still on the wall walks and I'm doing the 15. You can actually see my arms bending and everything when I'm up there, and it's so much harder. So like the only difference between these 2 attempts, again just to reiterate, was just a little bit of practice over the weekend and coming up with like a strategy. So on the 150 double unders, I tried to do sets of 50 and I tripped a couple of times. So I think I tripped on my first set and on my last set. I wasn't feeling any like calf fatigue either after these workouts, because I don't know, just kind of have good calf endurance that way. Massive calves, that's the key. Yeah, so some people were complaining that their calves are really sore after the volume of double unders, and I definitely understand that, but I was kind of lucky enough not to be feeling that at all. I know one person, well, I know a few people actually who've attempted this workout 4 times. Well, at least 2 people. Yeah. Mentally, it's really tough to push as well when you know your muscles are just like empty. So in blue on the left, every attempt is costing me so much effort, and I'm taking tiny little steps, and then I'm holding it for too long at the top and taking too many steps out. I'm pretty sure almost everyone I watched as well who was kind of being efficient with the wall walks was like 3 steps out. 1, 2, 3, bang, down onto the floor. So in green now I'm onto my set of 21, and this is like where I kind of slow down a little bit. So I'd like 3 minutes, just over 3 minutes to get through the 21 wall walks, and it's just very hard to keep pushing because you don't want to go to failure with this movement, because once your shoulders go, they're gone, because they're such a small group of muscles as well that it's like doing push-ups, you know. If you go to failure in push-ups, you have to take a long break to get into like the next set of push-ups or continue on the big set or whatever number it is you're doing. Still though, you can see a huge difference. Like if you just stick to a plan, I'm just up on my chest to the floor, then up on my knees, then 4 steps back still, and then as soon as I hit the line I'm walking out again. Whereas on the left I'm like kneeling up, trying to shake my arms out, and it's because every attempt is taking so much out of me because it's so inefficient. Very hard to be disciplined as well, you know, when you're really fatigued and all you want to do is take a break or stop outright to keep your break really short. So the elite guys, it's amazing how this is like a different workout for them. So I consider myself to be like an RX athlete, a good RX athlete, not elite RX, but a good one. But it's funny how like for people like me, this is like absolutely killer, but for the elite athletes then, nearly fell over there. For the elite athletes then, it's like a totally different workout for them, because they have got like amazing like shoulder strength and endurance. And I was watching some of their videos. I'd love to do a comparison between myself and them, and they just absolutely race through the wall walks like it's no problem. Like there's a few people like Noah Olsen and Brett Fikowski Dave Durant, these guys anyway I've watched, and Carrie Pierce as well. Also very impressive. Ooh, nearly fell there, but I got it. I saved it. It's very impressive just to watch them absolutely fly through like the wall walks. Like it's just no problem at all, you know? So yeah, it's kind of amazing the way they kind of build up that shoulder endurance. I had like a few seconds left maybe to try one more, but I was worried that if I did, I would just fall flat on my face. Cool. Okay, so that's like 2021. Those are all my thoughts. There's not really much to say. It's like an extremely smart workout. It caught everyone off guard, and I absolutely love that. But it's kind of amazing the way something that is definitely not practiced by like elite athletes, or most of us, to be honest, because wall walks is usually a scaling option. But it's really interesting to see that people still did really well with this workout. The cream always rises to the top and all that shit. So yeah, that's 21.1. Can't wait to see what the next two workouts are going to be. So I imagine we have 2 weeks left. I imagine 1 week is going to be something heavy, and then another week will be something really lung burning. So I don't think that workout, like as heavy as the breathing was for me anyway, it wasn't like a lung burner specifically. It was like, my shoulders are killing me and my muscles are aching, but my lungs are kind of okay. Like, yeah, I'm breathing hard, but it's not like the primary thing that's going on. So that's what I'm thinking is going to come up in the next 2 weeks. We'll see what happens. Fun times ahead.